Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the English news from Djibouti channel. They are the top stories of our editions. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, returned to the capital after participating the conference of African Union in Addis Ababa. On continental news, African Union calls for respect of constitutional order in Gabon. Welcome if you join us in Djibouti channels. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, returned today in the middle of the afternoon the country after a double mission abroad, which led successfully to Paris and Addis Ababa. In Addis, the last leg of his work trip abroad, the President Guelleh took part in an extraordinary summit of the African Union. It's a summit dedicated to the need of substantive reforms to the Pan-African organization, the acquisitions of financial independence for the African independence for the African Union's way and means to put an end to the administrative slowness characterizing the Pan-African organizations and the surge of greater integration of the continent throughout cluster regional economic issues were the main topics on the agenda of this extraordinary summit of the African Union. The participations of the President of the Djibouti at this summit was essentially marked by an important speech he read at the atrium of this event. After the closing of the summit, the President, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, had a meeting with the Ethiopian Prime Minister, Mr. Abiy Ahmed Ali. During this meeting, the two leaders discussed ways and means to further strengthen the exciting relations between the two countries and to increase multilateral cooperation between the two parties. The President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, thanked for the welcome and the hospitality received for him. By his side, the Prime Minister, Dr. Abiy Ahmed Ali, welcomed the President as well as the Djiboutian delegation. This meeting was present the two foreign ministers' affairs. After that, the President Guelleh met the President of the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, Sahle-Worqi Zewde, at the Presidential Palace of Ethiopia. This meeting is part of the historical relationship between the two countries, brothers and friends. The President of the Republic wishes to the President of the Federal Republic full of successes. At the President of the Republic, she thanked also the President of the Republic for his visit to the palace. Meeting between the two leaders was faithful. Career diplomat Sahle, 68 years old, became the fourth head of state in Ethiopia since the adoption of 1995 constitution. This text provides for a president to be elected for up to 6 years terms. She was until then the special representative of the Union Secretary General to the Union African. Previously, she was ambassador to France, Djibouti, Senegal, and the permanent representative to Ethiopia to the Intergovernmental Authority for Development, IGAD. During a short interview, the President of the Republic congratulated again the President of Federal Ethiopia. Let's listen to the speech of the President.
Our sister, the President Sahle-Worqi Zewde, participate also to the AU summit. Then I'm very pleased to see her and to congratulate her. The relations between our two countries, as you know, are very close, brothers, friends. Thank you.
The head of state and then visited the air agency of Air Djibouti. The President was accompanied by the Foreign Affairs Minister and the Director General of Air Djibouti. This agency is composed of several offices and has several working staff. This visit was illustrated the importance of the airline which aims to strengthen the role of Djibouti in the region and facilitate transfer and exchange with neighboring countries. When he arrived, the president was welcomed by the Director General of Djibouti, Air Djibouti, and many staff in the new offices opened in the center of the capital, Addis Ababa. He was warmly welcomed by several Djiboutians and the many staff who will work in that office. And then the president visited the different offices composed in this new office opened in the capital of Ethiopia. In a short interview, the president wishes progress of the Djibouti Air Agency and commended the effort to further develop and set up offices in other countries in the region. The Minister of Foreign Affairs welcomed the smooth running of this meeting of the African Union, where several countries participated. He is pleased with the progress of several projects in African countries. Some reforms have already been adopted earlier this year. Union African Head of State agreed to increase this number of annual summits for 2 to 1. In anticipation of the celebration for the Week of the Child, which will begin November 22, the Minister of Women and Family held a meeting of coordinations at UNFD. The meeting was attended by representatives of the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, parliamentarians, officials of Djibouti Agency for Disabled Persons, as well as the representative of UNDP and UNICEF. A series of activities have been scheduled to mark this week. The Minister for Women and the Family, Mrs. Mumina Hamad, thanked all the participants at this consulting meeting. UNICEF representatives, Mrs. Janabu, say the much work is being done on behalf for children. And then the Secretary General of the UNFD said for his part that many activities are planned for this Week of the Child. She also added that the UNFD work and set up several projects for children and bring them the support that they need. The Secretary of State for Youth and Sport, Mrs. Hassan Mohammed Kamil, received this morning at his office the Italian military forces stationed in Djibouti, led by Colonel Loborio. This meeting took place in the presence of the close collaborators of the Secretary of State. It focused on the very good relation existing between the two nations, and especially on the implications of this force in the promotions of activity related to youth. The Colonel thanked the Secretary of State for the reception and outlined the activity carried out by the Italian Army in Djibouti despite the limited resources available to it. The senior officer pointed out to his unit would have liked to do the best for the younger people. And now let's move on continental news. The African Union called for respect for constitutional order in Gabon. In a rather short statement, the chairman of African Union Commission, Mr. Musa Faki, also announced that an information and listening mission will go quickly to Libreville, a statement that comes as the amendment for an article of Gabonese constitution to alleviate the absence of the head of states. In a statement, the chairman of the African Union said he was concerned by certain development related to the health situation of the head of state before reaffirming the unwavering commitment of the African Union to strict respect for constitutional orders. Here we arrive at the end of this news edition. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye and have a good night.